It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast, which is your morning property radio fix around Australia, all things real estate. And we are broadcasting from Cairns to Adelaide 7 days a week. You can stream us on multiple platforms, including Apple Podcasts. And good morning to you, Shaun. Thank you for your email. Sorry it took a while to get to. You're 35 years of age. Your parents live in Randwick in Sydney, the same house that you grew up in. You say that you bought a unit 10 years ago in Parramatta, but due to personal health reasons, you had to sell it and didn't make anything from it after holding it for 2 years. Your parents are helping you get into another property, but it's the servicing of the mortgage which is the problem, because your parents don't want to guarantee the loan, leaving you basically sort of nowhere to go. And you've asked, are there others in similar situations? Well, I can tell you we have received similar emails to the extent where parents don't want to guarantee a loan for their kids going into a property. You probably, without a doubt, feel stuck. You know, the thing is that not all parents are in that position of guaranteeing a mortgage loan. They might be equity strong in their properties, but not necessarily cash strong, and there is a huge gulf between those two. Now, if you're interested, the Randwick median house price at the moment is over 3.6 million, while the median unit price is 1.2. The median house price actually increased by 10% over the past year, while the median unit price increased by about 3%. So that is on the up and up. Shaun, do let us know if anything changes, but we definitely feel for your situation, and your parents feel for you as well. They want to help you, but they don't want to end up losing their property. And if you've got a similar story, whatever it is, let us know. Our email address, myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. Right, let's catch up with Graham Berman from Ray White in Sydney. And a very good morning to you, Graham. Great to have you on the Real Estate Podcast. And I understand that you're right into your ultra marathoning. Tell us about that.
Well, good morning, and thank you very much for having me on the show. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think with real estate being such an intense industry and you're basically on the go 24/7 and being there to service your clients, you need an outlet. And my outlet has always been adventure sport, having climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, done Base Camp Everest, and then focusing on ultramarathon. I just find it's an opportune time to focus on something else, but it's that same determination, same focus that's required in real estate, that's required in ultra sports as well. So a great outlet.
Yes, a couple of weeks ago we were talking to Taylor and she was in Townsville. Same thing she was saying, which I can totally get. She's into volleyball big time and she's very, very competitive. As she said, like you, the real estate industry is extremely competitive. And I wonder, you know, for a lot of these agents that don't have the outlet, how they sort of get on, because it is so competitive. You do need that valve to go, right, here's the release point.
Well, I suppose it's like, you know, a lot of people say to me, it's my drug of choice. In this case, it's obviously a very healthy drug. You know, you need that outlet because otherwise it's almost a churn and burn. You know, you're focusing on your clients' needs, and your clients these days are not obviously just sellers, but they're buyers as well. And the case that you bring into question with this 35-year-old gentleman, today's real estate is about servicing one's buyers as well. Finding out what are their needs, what are their frustrations, what are their issues, and what are the solutions to actually help them through the journey of real estate. So you kind of almost need to have a little bit of an outlet for yourself as well, where this outlet is, I'm focusing on myself. And as they say, you know, a healthy body, a healthy mind, it's all integral and important.
I really feel for Shaun here. You know, he's 35. He's already been on the property ladder. Unfortunately, we don't know what the personal health reason was, but he had to sell. Obviously, he couldn't service that loan. And the parents, you know, they want to do the right thing by their son, but they also don't want to find themselves in a really dicey situation if the bank steps in and then, you know, they've got to sell their property.
It's a very common issue that we're facing and we're seeing. I mean, you mentioned at the beginning of the show about the median house price and unit price and those increases, you know, in a very short period of time. I mean, if you're looking at Randwick, for argument's sake, I think you said the median apartment price is about 1.2 million and rising. It's a common issue, and we're seeing it with not only people that may be looking to buy a second one or unfortunately had to get rid of the first one in this case, but first home buyers where the bank of mom and dad is not prepared to step in. And then, you know, what are the alternatives? I mean, thankfully, it looks like, you know, rates are coming down, which is positive. But then the serviceability that the bank looks into and says, can this individual actually afford not only the deposit, but can they actually service the loan going forward? A lot of the cases when I'm presented with this issue, and again, as I mentioned, my job is to help buyers and sellers. A lot of the opportunities are you actually using the right person from a loan perspective? And unfortunately, a lot of first home buyers may just go to a bank that they may be using or have used over the years for their savings account, and they go to one bank and one provider. And that bank may actually look at it and go, no, unfortunately, we're not going to give you the loan. What we've actually seen of late is, you know, if you've got a really good mortgage broker and they can delve into your personal situation and come up with alternative lenders. I mean, one case in mind, about a week and a half ago, we've actually got Loan Market, which is part of the Ray White network. And we gave it to a Loan Market lender, and they actually came back with some really great solutions for this individual.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point that you raise, because so many people, as you know, they don't engage in these mortgage brokers and they think outside the box. That is the thing. It's a real thing with the mortgage broker. And of course, we talk to Anthony Landau on a regular basis, and man, oh man, does he come up with different options. All right, we are talking to Graham. When we come back, we have got more from Sydney after this.
We are more than just a real estate podcast. We cover a multitude of subjects, including property data, current buyer-seller sentiment, and the mood of the market. Follow each week all of the main talking points and know your property.
We are talking to Bree. Now, let's get to the first home buyers, because you were telling me that you're dealing with a lot of these older first home buyers. Tell us about that.
Yeah, look, we are. Not everyone, of course, but we're starting to see an increase of your first home buyers kind of in those late 20s, early kind of 30s, probably a little bit more cashed up than your typical first home buyer, looking to spend, you know, anywhere from kind of 1 to 1.5. I've been working with a couple of first home buyers only in the last couple of weeks that are looking in those mid ones in terms of a first property, which I find, I mean, look, that would have been great if I was able to purchase at that price when I was a first home buyer, but we're finding that's quite interesting across Canberra at the moment.
Don't forget to subscribe. We have so many episodes, all designed to help you better understand the constantly evolving and dynamically changing real estate property market.
And we're talking to Graham Berman in Sydney. You know, I just want to come back to the situation with the parents with Shaun's setup. What a lot of parents do decide to do, Graham, and you've probably seen this, is they say, right, we've got to sell the family home so that we can extract the money out of it. We'll then go to a smaller property, and yes, we can then buy our son, our daughter, their property, in many cases buy them outright and then just have them rent it from them, sort of a rent to buy sort of situation. They're going to get it in the end anyway.
I mean, that is a possibility, absolutely, and I am seeing that. But remember, the parents need to be at a point in their lifestyle where they're prepared to actually downsize, or is it a sea change, etc. But what happens in the case where they're not ready to do that? So there are opportunities and alternatives. I mean, you could look at, you know, do you re-mortgage your property? Do you reverse mortgage your property? Can you take equity out of your property? And again, I think what I always come back to is if you've got got some really good data, you can make educated decisions. Yes, there is a risk. Property prices aren't going down, but if you're making the right decision with the right data and you can minimize the perceived risk for that parent, which enables them then to reverse mortgage their property and put equity into another property, there are alternatives to having to sell up and take all the risk on.
Now, one of the areas that you're servicing, we spoke about this recently, is Rose Bay. Now, very, very tightly held. And those zoning laws, everybody's getting a little bit excited about those, rezoning.
So it's a really interesting one that's playing across, not obviously just the eastern suburbs, but across the state and obviously across the country as we need to build more homes. But if you look at Rose Bay, for example, it's really interesting because up until recently, as you mentioned, extremely tightly held. A lot of houses on 500, 600, 700 square meters of land. And these new LMR, low medium density for residential laws have come into play that within 400 meters of the town centre, you can now build up to 6 levels. It's becoming quite an interesting play because a lot of people that were sitting on houses of these kind of sizes have banded together and sold off to developers. And that's going to really change the whole play across the suburb. The whole demographic is going to change within the next 3 to 5 years, where you're going to see these 6-level dwellings now being built. And it is causing some great opportunities for some people who are at that stage where they want to downsize. But at the same time, when you look at Rose Bay with these beautiful heritage homes or these beautiful estates where people don't necessarily want to move, they could be potentially living next to a 6-level high-rise in the coming years.
Yeah, one of the other things too, if you're in that situation where you are negotiating with developers, negotiate one of the units for yourself. A lot of people just fail to do that. You're in the box seat. If they identify that block of land as super, super valuable and you're at a stage where you want to downsize anyway, that is perfect to just work in the unit as well as the cash, and you're winning at both ends.
Absolutely. We've got multiple clients that are looking to do that, where they absolutely love the suburb. Rose Bay is booming. You've got development on New South Head Road. You've got development on Old South Head Road. You've got a lot of the top cafes, shops, closeness to and proximity to the ferry. So Rose Bay's got a lot of going for itself, and a lot of our owners don't necessarily want to move out of the suburb, but it gives them an opportunity, as you say, negotiate an apartment, take the equity, and then do other things with your money that you'd like to be doing.
Yeah, it's super, super smart. All right, Graham, well, we'll run out the clock since you're an ultra marathon runner. And thanks so much for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast with your thoughts this morning.
Truly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me.
Unlock the secrets of real estate and stay informed about the latest real estate buzz with hot market trends, emerging suburbs, and hidden gems.
It is. There's a number of different reasons why people will stay under the same roof. Quite often, and it's referenced in the Prop Track article, it's called bird's nesting, and it is for the sake of the children if children exist in the relationship.
That psychology of not being able to stay in place, they can be absolutely lost not being able to re-establish themselves in the same area.
It is a real concern for some of our clients. Having said that, of course, it's natural for people who are separating to downsize. It is becoming more rare with increased property prices that one member of the couple can stay in the family home. That does happen from time to time, of course, but typically we are seeing people are downsizing. They're moving into suburbs that may be within the general area but have more apartments.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.